When I was 19, I met a janitor who had saved over $8 million by the time he died. He lived in Vermont, never made more than $20,000 a year. And yet, when he passed away, he left behind a portfolio that shocked even seasoned bankers. He wasn't a genius. He wasn't an entrepreneur. He just understood something that most people don't. Money is not about math. It's about behavior. Everyone makes financial decisions based on the world they've lived in. A man who grew up during the Great Depression might never invest in the stock market again. A woman who saw her parents lose their home in 2008 might avoid debt like the plague. Another person raised during a bull market might think that 20% annual returns are normal. We're all products of our time. So when you see someone doing something with money that seems crazy, remember, it probably makes perfect sense to them. And the truth is, no one's crazy. We're just shaped differently. Bill Gates went to one of the only high schools in the world that had a computer in 1968. Out of the thousands of kids who could have been the next Bill Gates, he had access, timing, and luck. Success is never 100% earned. Failure is never 100% deserved. We don't like hearing that because it means we're not in full control. But accepting the role of luck and risk keeps us humble and kind. There's a famous story of Warren Buffett visiting a dinner party with a bunch of hedge fund guys. One of them, a billionaire, bragged about how much he made last year. Buffett smiled and said, "Yeah, but I have something he'll never have. Enough. You can't build wealth if you're constantly moving the goalpost. You can be rich and still feel poor if you don't know what enough means for you. The hardest financial skill isn't earning more. It's knowing when to stop chasing." In finance, as in life, a tiny number of events create the majority of outcomes. Walt Disney was on the brink of bankruptcy until Snow White. Apple was 90 days from dying until the iPod. And Amazon lost money for 9 straight years until AWS. Your investment portfolio, often 1 out of 100 bets, will account for most of your return. So you have to give yourself room for the tails, room for the wild success stories, room for the outliers. Wealth isn't the Lamborghini on Instagram. It's the cash you didn't spend. It's the vacation you didn't take. It's the shoes you didn't buy. Rich is loud. Wealth is quiet. And most of the time, the wealthiest people around you don't look wealthy at all. I'm optimistic about the future because humans have always figured out a way forward. But I'm pessimistic in the short term because bad things happen and they hit hard. So I save money like the world is falling apart tomorrow. But I invest it like it'll recover and grow for the next 50 years. This duality of fear and hope keeps me balanced, keeps me sane. We think the ultimate goal is money, but the real goal is time. Money is just the tool. Freedom is the reward, the ability to wake up and say, I want to write today. I want to stay home with my kids. I want to take a walk without checking my phone. That's wealth. People don't admire you for having nice things. They admire the idea of being you. When you drive a Ferrari, nobody thinks, wow, that guy's cool. They think, if I had that car, I'd be cool. This is the trap. You spend to impress people who aren't even thinking about you. Don't chase admiration, chase independence. We like to think we're logical beings. But when it comes to money, we're not spreadsheets. We're humans, emotional, impulsive, often irrational. Trying to be 100% rational is exhausting. trying to be mostly reasonable, that's sustainable, and it turns out that's enough. The biggest lie we tell ourselves is, this is what I'll want in 20 years. You won't. Your dreams will shift, your needs will change, and your definition of success will evolve. So build a financial life that's flexible, not rigid. Leave room for your future self to be different, because they will be. Money is the most powerful story we tell ourselves. It's numbers, yes, but it's also ego, fear, joy, trauma, envy, and hope. Understanding the psychology of money won't make you rich overnight, but it will help you live with fewer regrets. And maybe, just maybe, with more peace. Imagine walking across a narrow bridge with no railings. Even if it's perfectly built, you'd still be nervous. But widen that bridge just a bit, and suddenly you're confident. That's what margin of safety is. Financial success doesn't come from being right. It comes from being ready when you're wrong. Leave yourself room for mistakes, for life, for things you can't predict, saving a little extra, planning for delays, expecting bumps. That's not being pessimistic. That's being wise. Be careful who you take advice from, because they might be playing a different game than you. A day trader on Twitter might say, sell everything, recession incoming. But he's optimizing for daily volatility. You're investing for 30 years. Same planet, different universe. Before you copy someone's financial moves, ask yourself, are we playing the same game? If not, their strategy could destroy you. Pessimism sounds smarter than optimism. Why? Because it feels like protection. Saying the market will crash makes you look cautious and intelligent. Saying it will keep rising sounds naive. But here's the truth. Optimism isn't blind. It's historical. Human progress, despite setbacks, has trended upward for centuries. If you only prepare for collapse, you'll miss the quiet power of compounding optimism. Warren Buffett's net worth, over $100 billion. But here's the twist. He accumulated $81.5 billion of that after age 65. Think about that. His genius isn't high returns, it's long returns. You don't need to be Buffett, you just need patience. Start early, stay invested, let time do the heavy lifting. Rich buys things, wealth builds options. A rich person flashes luxury, a wealthy person sleeps well, a rich person flexes. A wealthy person disappears. When you chase rich, you'll always need more. When you pursue wealth, you start asking, what do I really value? And usually it's peace, not things. Most people think, if I want to be wealthy, I need a higher income. But your income means nothing if you spend it all. The most powerful wealth-building tool isn't returns. It's your savings rate, and that's good news. Because anyone, regardless of salary, can control how much they save. It's not sexy, but it's real. We often compare ourselves to where we used to be. I used to survive on ramen in college. Now I make $5K a month. I'm doing fine. But then we scroll social media and see someone in Bali running a startup with six-figure months. Suddenly, we feel behind. That's the danger of mental anchors. Your past is one, other people's lives are another. Measure progress against your own goals, not someone else's highlight reel. Every financial decision comes with a price. Volatility is the price of stock market returns. Sacrifice is the price of saving. Envy is the price of ambition. The key is know the price and be willing to pay it. If you expect wealth to come without pain, you'll constantly feel betrayed. But if you accept the invisible taxes of money, you'll be more at peace paying them. When the future is uncertain, we cling to whatever gives us comfort. Predictions, hot takes, crypto gurus, gold bugs, doom prophets. The brain wants clarity even if it's wrong, so you have to train yourself to live with "I don't know," to say, "Maybe, we'll see, let's prepare either way." That's not weakness, that's strength. Why do we want money? Is it for the house, the car, the recognition? Maybe. But really, we want to wake up and decide how we'll spend our day. We want freedom from alarm clocks, freedom from toxic bosses, freedom to say no. That's what wealth buys. Time, money is just the vehicle. There is no one way to be wealthy. You can own a business or never start one. You can invest in index funds or in yourself. The trick is to find the game that fits you, not what Instagram celebrates, not what your uncle recommends, the game that you can play sustainably for 40 years without burning out, and that game starts with self-awareness. I'm not the smartest investor, I'm not the richest, but I've learned this. The most important financial skill is staying in the game. If you've made it this far, congratulations, not because you heard my words, but because you're one of the few who's truly thinking about money, not chasing it, not fearing it, but understanding it, and that's rare. You are not your salary. You are not your net worth. You are not how much you earn per hour. But it's hard to separate the two because money validates us. It makes us feel capable, valuable, safe. But the danger is when we begin to believe that more money means more worth. You are worthy even when your bank account is empty. You are enough, with or without the raise, because money is a tool, not a scoreboard. Your friend just bought a Tesla. Your cousin is flipping real estate. Your old classmate started a company and now has 200K followers. Suddenly, your quiet little life feels small, insignificant. But what you don't see is the debt behind the Tesla, the anxiety behind the hustle, the loneliness behind the success. Comparison is a lie we buy with attention, and we pay for it with peace. I once met a man who wore old jeans and ran a local car wash. He lived in the same house for 40 years. He never upgraded his phone. When he passed away, his kids discovered a brokerage account with $11 million. He never talked about it, never flaunted it. He just saved, invested, repeated. He wasn't trying to impress. He was building freedom, silently and in a noisy world. That might be the greatest flex of all. You've heard the study, money doesn't buy happiness beyond $75,000 a year. It's true. Kind of that number gives you safety, shelter, food, healthcare, some comfort. But above that, happiness stops coming from money. It comes from relationships, meaning, autonomy, health. Money solves problems. But happiness isn't the absence of problems. It's the presence of joy. A child watches her parents fight about money and grows up fearing it. A boy sees his dad lose everything in a business and never takes risks. We don't just inherit genes, we inherit stories. So if you've been told money is hard to get, people like us never get ahead. Only rich people invest. Pause and ask, is this true or just repeated because you get to write a new story? One where money isn't your enemy, it's your ally. We live in a world of now, next day shipping, instant messages, one-click results, but money Money laughs at urgency. Wealth is built in decades, not days. Compounding is boring until it's magical, and most people quit just before it gets good. The paradox? To win the long game, you have to be okay with being bored, over and over and over again. You've probably heard of Archegos Capital, the $20 billion fund that collapsed overnight. Why? Leverage, arrogance, chasing more. The founder wasn't content with millions. He needed billions. And in a few trades, it was all gone. Ego is the greatest risk to wealth. It whispers, you deserve more. You can't lose. You're smarter than the rest. The moment you believe that, you've already lost. Charlie Munger once said, all I want to know is where I'm going to die, so I never go there. Sometimes the best financial advice is inverted. Want to be wealthy? Don't go broke. Want to succeed? Avoid ruin. Want peace? Avoid chaos. Most people try to add more, but often wisdom is about subtracting. Less ego, less noise, less chasing. We work, we save, we plan, all for a future that isn't promised. So what's the balance? Do you YOLO your savings away or live? So frugally you forget how to live? Here's the truth. Spend with intention, give with joy, save with vision, invest with patience, live with presence. Money is for life, not the other way around. What do you leave behind? A fortune, a foundation, a family that's free, or maybe just this, a mindset that your kids don't fear money, that they see it as a tool, not a monster, that they value time over things and freedom over status. Legacy isn't about how much you give. It's about what you teach. And if you've learned anything from this, I hope it's this. Money is a story, and you are the author. You don't need to be rich. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be aware. The psychology of money isn't about mastering markets. It's about mastering yourself. And if you can do that, you're already wealthier than most. Thank you for listening. Now go write your own story.